Salutations, sinners! As you may know, it is now May. With temperatures warming, it's a marvelous time to go out on the streets and spread some dismay and mayhem. Maybe some mania, too. Alright, I will spare you from any more puns. What a travesty it would be to make you all wait an extra week, only to come back with bad puns. No, I also have some tidbits of news to share since I last broadcasted. I've heard through the grapevine that there's been a bit of a scandal at Voxtech, and no, not its incompetent ex-CEO nearly blowing up all of Pentagram City almost 6 months ago. My, has it really been that long? This time, about 100 of the company's employees have been fired, literally, for poorly representing the company. I usually don't bother with the trifles of that company, however, this one piqued my curiosity as the employees were purported to have been trying to wage war against me. Also, on a much less amusing note, for some odd reason, sinners have been asking me about my supposed adventure up in space with Valentino. I am absolutely baffled at how such a tall tale and obvious lie became so widespread, even knowing how convincing the propaganda that 666 News spews out is. I also doubt that Vox would go through the effort of personally hypnotizing and planting such a frivolous idea in sinners' brains. In summary, no, I did not go to space on the Starship Has-Been. No, I did not meet a bunch of Yowians, and I definitely did not fuse with Valentino. How would I even... Never mind. Anyways, today I have 2 letters. The first one reads, Alastor, why did you kill someone for just spilling some wine on your shirt? And also, why did you let Vox take you as a prisoner? From the Rush Channel. It's been so long since I remember anyone daring to unapologetically spill wine on me that I can hardly remember the exact circumstances. Still, such an act is exceptionally disrespectful, and as someone who has had to work 100 times harder than any of my condescending contemporaries for only 100th of the esteem they had, I do not tolerate disrespect. I could see that all those who refused to apologize for spilling their drinks on me looked down upon me as something undeserving of even common courtesy. I could tell they saw me as lesser than human, so I made them understand what it feels like to be hunted like an animal. Now about Vox, it's quite simple really. I gave him the impression that he had finally won over me, feed into his ego and let him have his fun for a bit, allowing me to get close and directly manipulate him into being the exact tool I needed to cut through a string that was holding me back. I hope that clarified things for you, and thank you for your letter. Moving on, the second letter is from a listener some of you may remember. Dear Radio Demon, it was an absolute pleasure to have my letter read on your broadcast. I hope you'll indulge me a second time. I'll admit I was ready for what I thought I was getting myself into, only to be surprised that you reacted with softness. Topic aside, I did know I was hitting a sensitive subject, and I do admit the intrigue is part of why I wrote it. So, I suppose I am doubly grateful that I did not find my eternal soul cursed as a result. For this month, I have some more questions. What journalist would I be if I didn't take the opportunity to hear from such a fascinating subject? The first thing I want to know, did you ever find out, after the fact, what Rosie's ace in the hole comment meant? I won't spoil it here if you haven't. Second, was there any particular motive for taking Husk's soul? Did you gain any advantage from it? Was there a plan for more territory or specific power? Or was it just a typical bread and butter, nothing personal type of transaction that overlords just do? And for my last question, may I request that the next soul tortured on your broadcast be a pervert? The worst kind you can find for the sickest crimes against so-called lovers? Consider it a feminine rage thing. As for staying away from picture boxes, I'll see what I can do, since in my time devices like TVs and this portable version I use have saturated every field and industry you can just about think of. The world is automated and digitized to the point we wire payments through our debit cards with no human contact, and typing in our numbers on a side page to purchase the simplest things or expensive books and other school materials. Even radio has been revamped as podcasts, with audio still as the main draw instead of any images, But podcasts do provide more advanced sound effects and immersion features, such as programming environmental noise or bodily noises that can weave seamlessly with the press of a laptop key. I suppose I can promise to make my primary medium for news podcasts online. We are overrun with box types in mainstream media anyways. You're still a wannabe journalist. It's a pleasure to have received another letter from you, journalist, and I'm glad to hear that you will be trying to adjust your media-consuming habits. Addressing your previous letter, I will admit I did react to it with a minute degree of, as you call it, softness. However, I'm not above cursing your soul if you decide to push your luck too far in another letter. Still, for now I find you quite entertaining, and I'm pleased to have such a regular viewer. Regarding the questions in this letter, I am still quite confused about what Rosie meant by calling me an ace in the hole. I can only assume that it means something akin to being an ace up a sleeve, although her saying such a thing in reaction to Charlie certainly stands out as odd to me. I may have to ask Rosie about that later. For your second question, there are many reasons why an overlord would take someone's soul. Even the weakest of sinners can be of some use, or at least there's no harm in accepting such an offer. Now, Husker was an especially fortunate and useful catch for me. Although he may look like a lowly drunkard, the cat is quite a powerful asset. I did not necessarily seek him out, although I did make it known that if any sinners were down on their luck, I would be happy to give them a little boost. For a price, of course. As it turns out, Lady Luck doesn't always favor anyone, even the former casino overlord. Stuck in a losing streak, he came to me, knowing I could lend him some of my power, and we made a deal. Husker proposed that we play a round of poker, and that if he won, I would give him enough power to return him to his former glory with no strings attached. I let him know that if I won, I would own his soul. We played, and naturally I won. Since he works for me now, he has increased my power, made for a good errand boy, and has been an excellent personal bartender. Finally, I would be glad to rid hell of a pervert. Today, dear listeners, I am skipping the usual endorsement section. Instead, I have a very special guest with me, your very own princess, Charlie Morningstar.
Hi everyone, thank you so much, Al, for inviting me onto your show and letting me tell your fans about my hotel.
You're very welcome, Miss Morningstar. It appears you are quite eager to tell us about your hotel, so why don't you go on ahead and explain what it's about?
Oops, sorry if I was a bit too excited. I mean, it's my first time on a radio broadcast, and the last time I was interviewed didn't go so well, so I'm a bit nervous right now. But right, the hotel. Now, I figured since this is a radio broadcast and people usually listen to songs on the radio, it would be super fitting to instead sing about the hotel. So, let me tell you about a happy place where there's delight and exception. We'll wipe that frown right from your face as we bring you to redemption. Come to the Has-Been Hotel, where the company's swell, and we love all our clientele. We have rooms and food and free stuff galore. We'd be so glad to give you a tour.
That sounds like quite a charming place, so please go on and tell us more. Just what might guests expect to do if they decide to come indoors?
We have plenty of activities, just exercises, singing songs, and crafts and games and bonding time. I guarantee that you'll belong down at the Has-Been Hotel, where the company's swell.
A piece of heaven brought down to hell,
Where there's hope and love and friendship galore. There's just so much for you to explore. At the Has-Been Hotel, we're sure you'll be swell, and with our help you'll truly excel. Soon you'll find your way to heaven's front door, and float in paradise forevermore.
Once more.
Soon you'll find your way to heaven's front door, and float in paradise forevermore.
Well, sinners, as you have heard, the Has-Been Hotel is a wonderful place to stop by if you are looking for a sickeningly sweet experience.
Aw, thanks, Al. Wait, what do you mean by sickening?
Anyways, Miss Morningstar, quite a lot has happened surrounding your hotel these past few months.
Yup, ever since Sir Pentious made his broadcast and proved that redemption is in fact possible, we've had so many new guests. I'm just so happy to see how hopefully everyone is about turning their lives around.
Yes, that is quite a turnaround for both your hotel and them. Seeing as you've succeeded in showing that redemption is possible, I'm sure all our listeners are quite curious. How does such a process work?
Well, we have a theory.
Go on.
Okay, so for some context, a few months ago I tried to redeem our wonderful, guest, Angel Dust, by trying to copy how Sir Pentious was redeemed. However, this didn't work out, but we realized that maybe what got Pentious into heaven was repenting for his own sin. So our current theory is that in order to redeem a sinner, we have to have them overcome the unique sin that brought them to hell.
And how do you figure out what each sinner's sin is, and what actions or events cleanse each sin?
Well, I suppose we could ask each person what their greatest sin is, or why they think they're in hell, and I guess we just proceed from there. We, don't really have a solid list of what specifically should be done to redeem most of the major sins. But we've come up with plans for more minor sins, like lying and theft. The hotel is still pretty new, so there's still a lot more that has to be done. But we're making rapid progress.
That seems like quite an important aspect of your hotel. It would be best for you to get that figured out as soon as possible. But the bare bones outline you have for minor sins, have you redeemed any of those sinners yet?
Well, not yet, but I think we're getting super close with Rooster and Coral.
Ah, yes, those two. What were their sins again?
We think Rooster's main sin was cowardice and letting others bully him and his wife. And Coral's sin seems to be talking badly about her friends behind their backs. We've been working on building up Rooster's courage and helping Coral establish genuine friendships, and they've both been making excellent progress.
Those certainly do seem like minor misdemeanors.
Yes, but everything starts with baby steps, and even redeeming sinners with the lightest sins proves that redemption is possible for everyone.
Well, even if that is true, it certainly will be most entertaining to see how you try to redeem murderers, abusers, and other worse sinners, if you still believe such a feat is possible.
You know I do, Al, and maybe I could redeem you if you participate in activities and try to redeem yourself.
Even if I could be redeemed, I quite frankly enjoy hell a lot more than I ever would heaven. There's simply much more excitement to be found down here.
Well, I respect your decision and can see your point, but if you ever change your mind, you know I'd be happy to work with you and get you into heaven.
I'm sure you would enjoy that. Well, that is all I have on that topic. Is there anything else you would like to say on my broadcast, Miss Morningstar?
To everyone listening, if you don't think so, I know there's good in all of you, even if it's deep, deep down, and that you all deserve the chance to have a better life.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on my show, Charlie. Quite a pleasure. I'm sure all my viewers are interested in seeing how your hotel fares over the next few months.
The pleasure was all mine, Al. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Alastor. Who are you? You know what you did. Remind me again. I've done quite a lot of things, my dear. You killed my best friend, Tipsy. Pardon? Violet, your last torture victim? Oh, yes, now I remember. And what are you doing here confronting the strongest sinner in hell about it? I want to make a deal. Oh, and what are your terms? I will assist you with the busy work of your broadcast, researching potential victims, collecting needed supplies, or anything you would need me to do, so long as you do not harm the people I care about. I work alone, and I prefer not to have restrictions on who I can harm. Think of it as zoning my soul. So you are offering your soul to me? More like partial temporary management. I'm already contractually a Boxtec employee, however, I will allow you to summon me or use me however you like, as long as I can get my 80 hours per week, and most importantly, if you agree not to harm the handful of people I don't want you to harm. And who are these people? Some of my co-workers at Boxtec. I'm sure that won't be much of an issue for you, as there are many more interesting souls to torture outside of the company, and I'm sure you're well aware that causing too much trouble for the company would result in a bigger mess than it's worth.
Your proposal is enticing. However, why would you, who snuck in here and confronted me eyes aglow with fury, want to make such a deal?
I may hate your guts and wish I could hear your screams broadcast for anyone to hear, but I'm smart enough to know that I can never stand up to you. So the best option I have is to ensure the safety of my remaining friends is to make a deal with you.
Interesting. You would sacrifice yourself for your so-called friends.
I regret not taking Violet's last call to me more seriously, and I blame myself for not doing anything to try and save her, so I guess I would consider this my punishment for letting her die.
You are quite interesting indeed. I believe I will take you up on your deal then. I will not harm any of the Voxtech employees you care for, and in exchange, you will be mine to command, so long as you have 80 full hours per week to work.
Deal.
Splendid! Now please get out of my tower. I don't take too kindly to trespassers. What an eventful broadcast this has been, listeners. And I hope you are all as pleased as I am. Even if you are not, remember to still smile, my dears, for you're never fully dressed without one. And don't you forget to tune on in next time for some more delightful entertainment.